Hi everyone, PD Mangan here. And I'm here with Andrew Tate, who's a world kickboxing champion, and he graciously agreed to my interview, and I'm really happy to have him on. Welcome, Andrew. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here.
Great. Um, Andrew, you can correct me if I'm wrong in anything here. I'm going off of what I've read on Wikipedia and some things from what I remember you saying online, mainly on Twitter. Andrew is a three-time world kickboxing champion, and he is 31 years old. He is originally from Chicago, Illinois, in the United States. And he currently lives in Romania, although he's coming to us from Copenhagen, Denmark today. So Andrew, first of all, about your origins. You grew up in Chicago, and your father was a chess master. And so what I'm wondering, this leads to the question that becoming a kickboxing champion seems like an unusual deviation from having a father as a chess master, and so I would have guessed that you would have been expected college, for example. I assume, correct me if I'm wrong, that you had a more or less middle class upbringing. So how did that all work out?
Yeah, so I actually started with chess. So I started in following in my father's footsteps. I was a state chess champion for Indiana at the age of 12 or 13. So I was a chess kid, as it goes. So I played a lot of chess from a very, very young age. And I think chess is actually probably the foundation for a lot of my beliefs in life. And I know it's a bit cliche to compare life to a board game, but chess is one of those things where all of the responsibility for the victory or the defeat lies firmly on your shoulders. You never hear someone talk about it because that it's you and only you. And if you're victorious, it's because you saw something your opponent didn't see. And if you lost, it's because you missed something. And all of the responsibility lies firmly on your shoulders. Where I started with chess very young, to me, it was very easy to transition into something like fighting where it's one-on-one. There's no team involved. It's 100% personally responsible. So to me, all the things I found appealing in chess, I actually found appealing in fighting. So to me, they are quite similar forms of war as such. So yeah, I started with chess, and then I grew up. I actually grew up just outside of Chicago, at the very top of Indiana, Gary, Indiana, which was the murder capital of the world at the time, the murder capital of America at the time. So I grew up there, and then we moved to England. My mom and dad split up when I was about 12. So when I moved to England, my chess career kind of finished because I lost my coach. And then I moved over to the kickboxing side of things. And that's it. I started fighting. I never intended on being world champion. I just intended on fighting, and things happen, and fights come, and you win. And before you know it, you're fighting for a world title. So that's how it all worked out.
Right. Well, so that's interesting because I play a little chess myself, though nowhere near at any fantastic level, and also my favorite spectator sport is boxing. So it's interesting similarities there. Yeah, individual sports. So you said I believe that you were 16 years old when you first went into a kickboxing gym or started kickboxing or something like that, and what got you into that? Why kickboxing? Did you see people kickboxing? Did you know people, or were you interested in building your fighting skills for real life, or how did that work?
Yeah, I mean, chess left a massive void in my life when my dad stayed in America and me and my mom and everyone went to England. England doesn't have any of the chess scene that America has. They don't have any of it. It's not in schools. There's no tournaments. All the things that existed in America, I was a big part of. Didn't exist in England. So for a few years, I was adapting to the new country and such. And then I knew I wanted to do something with my time, something constructive. I actually started playing drums. I just picked up a drum kit and started playing drums. But it annoyed me that if I was going through life and I told someone I can play the drums, they say, okay, show me. And I say, well, I can't because I don't have a drum kit. I don't have drumsticks. There's all these things I needed. And it sounds stupid, but in all sports, if you play football, you need a ball, you need a net, you need a team. I thought if I learned to fight, it's something I always have with me, something I always have, which was the basic motivation for it. I didn't really care about kickboxing, boxing, mixed martial arts, nothing. Just by complete coincidence, the gym I walked into was a kickboxing gym, and that's how it went. I walked in there and I said, I want to learn to fight. And my coach is a Bosnian special forces. He fought in the Yugoslav conflict. He's been shot 8 times. He's an interesting guy. He said, well, okay, let's go. And that was it. And from there, it was just a brutal twice a day, 3 or 4 hours a day, just brutality. And I stuck with it when most people wouldn't. And ended up winning some fights. So that's how it went. I started at age 16. I became a world champion for the first time at 23. And then I won my last world at 28. So I was fighting for quite a long time.
Wow, that's awesome. So getting into that, what sort of I can imagine some young men going into a gym like that, in a kickboxing gym, and getting their ass kicked, and and then thinking, well, maybe this isn't for me. And so, what does it take? What kind of persistence? What do you have to be telling yourself to go from a beginning kickboxer to becoming a champion a few years later?
And I'm going to reference back to chess once again. This is one again where I'm just going to change the. Where even if you need a coach to tell you, even if you need a computer to tell you, somewhere along the line you made a mistake. You can't lose in chess without mistakes. So you'd go back to the drawing board, you'd analyze everything, you try and find the mistake. And this was always my mindset towards anything. I walked in there, I got my ass kicked, and I left and thought, why did I lose? Well, I got tired. Okay, I need to run. Why? Oh, he hits harder than me. I need to get stronger. He's faster than me. His jab's quicker than mine. And I just broke it down and thought, why am I losing? And when you look at life that way, if you construct it and you break it down into the whys, you know what the battle plan is. I see this all the time, like on Twitter and stuff. People are like, oh, my life's shit. And I'm like, why? And they're like, oh, because X, Y, Z. And I'm like, well, if you know why it's shit, you already know what the problems are. Why are you coming to me for advice? Like, what do you want me to do about it? You know what the problem is. I'm overweight. Why? Oh, I don't know. Well, you eat too much. I need to go to the gym. You know why you're overweight. You just don't want to do anything about it. So with me, my whole mindset from a very young age is working out where the mistakes were made and rectify them. And in my first day in the kickboxing gym, I got knocked out, clean asleep. But I was back the next day with my gloves saying, look, fuck you. Let's go. That's just how I was as a person, and I just didn't want to give up that easily. I've never been the kind of person to give up on something I really wanted to do, and I knew if I applied myself, I'm a firm believer in hard work, and that was it, really. Just quitting didn't cross my mind at any point. The absolute truth. It never even crossed my mind. So.
Oh, that's awesome. I was thinking, a long time ago, I used to play chess with a guy, just fun game. This guy was really good, and he beat me every time. And he told me something. He said, to get good at chess, you really have to want to win. Yeah. And I thought, yeah, I treat chess as just a fun pastime, and that's why I lose. And so I can see where you're talking about there in kickboxing. Yeah, you want to win.
Absolutely, and that's the great thing about fight sports is that you can't have to fight sports. Like, you're either going to get your ass whooped your whole life, or you're going to be doing the ass whooping. There's right. So if you're going to do it, you need to do it. So I decided I was going to be a fighter, and I decided I don't want to get my ass kicked. As simple as that. And, in the gym, I mean, I've had plenty of injuries. I've lost fights. I've been hurt in the gym. It all goes through it. But you just have to have that attitude towards reflection and reconstruction and self-analyzation and no room for self-pity, because that's where it goes. Exactly what you said about people wanting to quit. They quit because they feel sorry for themselves. They go, I went to the gym. They're better than me. they beat me, I can't go, poor me, poor me. And that I've never had that mindset. I've never had the poor me mindset. I'm not a poor me guy. So it's always like, okay, they beat me. Well, I'm gonna change some things. I'm gonna go beat them. You know, and this is just the way I was really raised. I was raised with this, you know, maybe it's the chess, maybe it's the nature of chess and chess tournaments and the way I self-analyze, or maybe it's just, you know, my upbringing and such, but it was never a poor me situation. It just didn't exist in my household. It just wasn't a thing. It was never a, this happened to me, poor me. It was, this happened to me, well, do something about it, you know? It's just how it's always been. So to me, it comes so naturally. I find it amazing for men, especially more than women, living their lives out there with this self-pity and this hanging on their shoulders. I think, what the fuck? How can you exist in that mind frame? I don't understand how you can even be remotely happy with yourself existing that way.
Well, okay, that's interesting. That gives us a good segue into what I want to talk about, what you wrote on Twitter the other day about basically, you said a lot, but I think the important thing to my mind was you talked about self-pity and excuses, and how people have this self-pity and excuses. So now what you just said was you were raised that way. You never thought otherwise. And so okay, so we're going to be, hopefully a lot of men will be watching this video that we're doing here. And, you know, what would you say to somebody who you know, who's had this mindset their whole life, who said, well, I can't do this because of, you know, like you say, X, Y, Z, because of this excuse or that. And, you know, what would you say to them? How can you change that mindset? What do you do?
The key is this. The first thing you need to do is you need to find people who do not listen to your excuses. Like if I ever tried to say an excuse to my dad or anyone, he'd just look at me like, so, you know, like that doesn't matter. Even when I was fighting, if I was fighting, training for my last fight, I had a really bad ankle. I fucked my ankle up and I couldn't run properly. I said to Amir, my coach, I said, I can't run properly, my ankle. He goes, okay, let's just call your opponent and tell him that, you know, you have an excuse, so he has to go easy on you. Because he isn't going to. He isn't going to give a shit about all your excuses. If I get in the ring with him and he aims to kill me or hurt me as bad as he can, he's not going to pull a punch or think I better not hurt him because he couldn't train properly. He doesn't care. And life is the same. All your excuses do not change life hitting you as hard as it can hit you. Your excuses carry zero weight. And these people who are excuse makers, they have these support networks of people around them who listen to their excuses. Oh, I can't do this. Why? Because of X, Y, Z. Yeah, it's true. You need someone to say, no, you can do it. You just don't want it enough. It's the absolute truth. Excuse makers have become in the habit of using excuses because there's people who will listen. And I've never had anyone who listened to my excuses. And life is exactly the same. I say to people all the time, you know, people go, oh, yeah, but this. And they have their reasons for whatever. And I just sit and go, you know, you can sit and we'll use weight loss for an example. I when I was training, I had lots of people ask me about weight loss and these things. I don't know. I'm not nearly as knowledgeable as you about nutrition or none of that stuff. I just trained my ass off and ate clean. You know, I didn't know the ins and outs. But people would go, oh yeah, but I can't lose weight because this. And I say, look, you know, if you ate less calories, you worked as hard as I do in the gym, you would not be that size. That's a fact. So you can come at me with all your excuses about how you have no time and your thyroid and all this bullshit, or you can do it. Because when people look at you, they just see the result. They just see someone who's in shape or someone who's not in shape. They don't look at you and see all your excuses and all your bullshit. Then no one's interested. No one has time to listen to them. So you just have to push forward and be successful regardless. So what I'd say to the excuse makers is next time you catch yourself using an excuse for something, pay attention to who's listening to you because they're facilitating your garbage. You come at me with your excuses. Come at me with your excuses and we'll see how long they last. Because the truth is I don't give a fuck. I don't care. I'm not interested. You either want to do it or you don't want to do it. And if you really wanted to do it, you'd be doing it already. So this is my belief system completely and utterly. Especially on Twitter. I get loads of people saying, I really want to do this, but. And I say, no, you don't. Because if you really wanted to do it, there wouldn't be a but. There wouldn't be a but. You'd already be doing it. You know, so these people, they just get in the habit of having people facilitate this mindset. Yeah, you're right. You don't have to achieve X. because of your excuse. And it's garbage. It's bullshit. And the point of my thread was, we're all on the same human time scale. You know, if you're a full grown man, you're lucky to live to 80, 90. You know, you got a certain amount of years, and how many years are you going to spend saying excuses and praying that, you know, people are going to believe you? It's okay. You're either going to do it or you're not going to do it. And then it's going to be the end. So what the fuck are you waiting for? That was the point of the thread, really.
Right. I think that's tremendous, because regarding, you know, using myself as an example and how I've gone through life, you know, these kind of excuses, like this happens because of this, someone is overweight because of this reason or something like that. You know, it's just totally pervasive in society as a whole, right? And it, you know, myself, it's only been in the last, you know, let's say 10 years or so that I've, you know, really, with the advent of the internet, I suppose, come across people like yourself who have this attitude. You know, in most cases, it's just, you know, you grow up, you go to college, you get a job, and you know, you go through life, and you don't aspire for much more as long as you're making a decent living.
Yep.
Um,
Pervasive. Yeah. The word you use, pervasive, I love, because that is absolutely correct, and it translates across everything. It translates across everything. I have some beliefs that people call me crazy for. Like I say, you know, I've had people come to me and say I'm depressed, and I'm like, well, why? And they go, I'm depressed. That's why I'm a fat, lonely guy with no girlfriend. I say, no, you're not fat and lonely because you're depressed. You're depressed because you're fat and lonely. You got it the wrong way round. You know, and what you're using is depression as an excuse, a facilitator to avoid going to the gym, to avoid fixing your life, because now you have a ready-made, fully packaged excuse that Western society buys at a heartbeat. Oh, well, he can't do anything about his life. He's depressed. Oh, this kid doesn't want to behave. He has ADHD. Oh, this person doesn't want to do this. You know, it's all these pre-packaged excuses that people can just pull out their pocket and say, this is my reason for doing my life wrong. And it's garbage. I refuse to believe any of it. I'm sorry. I refuse to believe any of it. You know, it's completely down to you to build the life you want to make. When I had my Twitter account, I tweet on my brother's now. When I had mine, Cobra, I was verified and da-da-da. The internet went nuts when I said that I believe in depressing situations and I believe in feeling depressed. But I also believe that it's down to you to fix it. I don't believe that popping pills all day is going to fix that problem. I believe that you need to change your scenario so you're in a scenario that makes you happier. When I said this, I basically said clinical depression as it's currently understood is sold as this big evil monster that comes out of nowhere. I don't believe that bullshit. Most people are depressed. They're just living lives they're unhappy with, and they need to change them. The world went nuts. People were going crazy, so desperate to defend their mindset. And I'm sitting there thinking, I'm reading it thinking, why are you so desperate to defend the thing you say cripples your life? You say depression cripples your life, and you are desperate to defend it. You're desperate to convince me that it's real and convince me how dangerous it is. Why are you sticking up for this thing? This is what's ruining you. You know, if you were half a man and they're coming and you're supposedly depressed, you'd fight against it with everything you've got. You'd say, fuck depression. I'm going to the gym. Fuck depression. You'd fight back. Instead, you're sitting at your computer typing at me, a happy person, telling me I need to change how I think. And like, what the fuck? It's craziness to me. And it's because people religiously defend their excuses. They religiously defend their ability to absolve responsibility. If they have a way to get rid of the responsibility and pass it on to someone else, they'll defend that with everything they've got. Because if they can't defend that, if they have to face the reality and they have to look in the mirror, they're gonna be really pissed off. So they need to just go, oh no, my life's I'm a black person from the ghetto, so my life's bad. I'm half black. I grew up in Gary, Indiana. My life's not bad. Oh, I'm from a single mother. My life's bad. So was I for a large portion of my life. Like, I've heard every excuse, and it's all bullshit. And people just want to keep them as this blanket to hide under. And that's why I refuse to buy them. I refuse to buy them absolutely. And Western society, you use the perfect word, pervasive. It's absolutely through and through. Everything people do is just tinged with this. Oh, but I can't because but. It's garbage.
That's wow. That's fantastic, Andrew. I mean, I agree. The thing about depression, you know, that I posted something myself recently. I wrote an article a while back about depression being physically being inflammatory, right? And so where does this inflammation come from? Basically, diet, exercise, sleep, and so on. So these are all ways that you can, you can take care of it. And, and I get this pushback. They say, no, it's a chemical imbalance in the brain. And so this is they are wedded to this idea because this is one of the prepackaged excuses.
And depression, the reason depression is so violently defended is because depression is a universal excuse for everything. Depression's the cure-all. Depression's the cure-all excuse for why you're out of shape, why your marriage is falling apart, why you're an idiot, why you're broke, why you ain't paid your mortgage, why you don't go to work. Every single bad thing in your life, you can pull out the one cure-all excuse, depression. That's why it's so violently defended. And even the point you made about diet and inflammation, of course, you're depressed if you're fat, you're eating shit, you're not training. And this is my exact point. Depression, as it's currently taught, is that you can be going through your life and your life can be perfectly fine, and absolutely out of nowhere, for no reason, from the sky, something's going to cripple your brain to a level where you can't function. I don't believe that. And if that was the case, if it was the case the way they're teaching it in the Western world, depression would be universal across the human species. How come there's countries where no one has this garbage? If it's something that you can't help and it's nothing to do with your environment, and nothing to do with your diet, and nothing to do with your mindset, why are there in countries where they eat good and they don't live in a victim culture, are they not all depressed? Explain that to me. It's something which has been manufactured, and people just don't want to accept this because it's their cure-all excuse. There are people going through their lives and their shield against all criticism they ever receive is depression. That's their shield. Why is X, Y, Z wrong with your life? I'm depressed. That's their shield. They don't want to lose their shield. When you point out they need to eat better and go to the gym and look after themselves, no, that can't possibly be true. No, they need their shield. No, it's not my fault. It's come out of nowhere, and my life's just been crippled by this terrible thing. Garbage, absolute garbage, man. And it's pervasive. And depression's a great one because it's a cure-all for everything. But there's lots of things like and this is a family issue. One of my cousins got diagnosed with ADHD or one of these disorders or something. And I said, if it was my cousin, I said to my uncle, I said, if you were raising him the way Dad raised me, his ass wouldn't be talking back. I'm telling you, you can say he's got whatever he's got, but he ain't putting his hand in fire because he knows he's going to get burnt. He ain't repeatedly putting his hand in fire because he knows there's a consequence. He's living life without consequence. Now he's acting like a little shit. If he had consequences for acting a certain way, he might think twice. It's like, that's how I see it. Like, you pull out this excuse for your kid to be an idiot and get expelled from school. You need to drop the garbage or fucking discipline your child. It's just craziness, man. It's craziness. It really is the scourge of the Western world. I have a unique view on the world because I live in Eastern Europe, which is it was a communist country, in the 90s where I lived. It's only 25, 30 years ago. And there's certain hangovers from communism which are still there. It's technically a poor country, et cetera, et cetera. But things like discipline, things like gender roles, things like all these things are still very firmly in place. There is no victim culture. There is no, we're all depressed. There is no kids acting like idiots. There's none of this shit because family units are still together, and you can't act like a dickhead because your dad's gonna smack you in the mouth. So it's just like like in the Western world, we've forgotten so many important things. We've gone so far off track, and they're all interlinked. Everything from the excuses to why marriages are breaking down to how kids are being raised. Everything is interlinked, and it's all falling apart. And I find it amazing, especially like when Twitter to me is like a social experiment. I can scroll through Twitter all day and see some of the garbage people are tweeting, and I'm like, do people think like this? Like, is this how people live? And you read some of these things like, oh, you can't do this, you can't do that. And we have people out there now trying to rewrite human history and the way humans have always been raised. If I fucked up, my dad hit me. Now, people can say that's wrong. I'm happy with who I am and the life I live, and I'm happy I was hit. He didn't beat the shit out of me. He wasn't abusive, but if I fucked up, I got hit. And people are saying that that's completely wrong. And I sit and I just wonder, I think, throughout the 500,000 years of human history, kids have been getting hit. Throughout the 30s and 40s and 50s and 60s, kids got hit. Everyone was fine. We're all still here. We still push forward. We still went to the moon. We still built all these great cities. And now you want to come along now and say that all of human history is wrong and we can't discipline kids anymore. And you think you know better? Like real, has anyone else seen the disconnect here?
Right.
I'm like, bullshit.
I think I think that you know, one thing in the Western world, as opposed to Eastern Europe where you are, is that you know, in a sense, we have the luxury of being able to do that. You know, in Romania, like you said, 25, 30 years ago, they're a communist country. There's, you know, leftover poverty and so on, and you know that poverty imposes discipline. You know, and when you can do what you want, when you can lead a life of indiscipline, when you have your excuses, and you suffer few or no consequences from this, as far as, well, I still got my job, or I still got the, you know, welfare check coming in, or what have you, then, you know, then it keeps going on. What would, you know, so you went into kickboxing, and you persisted until and eventually becoming world champion.
Yeah.
What would you say to someone who, well, let me put it this way. Obviously, a lot of other guys were kickboxing, right? And they didn't all make it.
Yeah.
And so there's you know, there's some level of talent, innate skill. I don't know how you look like you're very big. I don't know how tall you are, but yeah, you know, so you got to have you got to have some of that. So what do you say? Not just in kickboxing, but in any field of endeavor. Somebody really wants to do something, but maybe they don't have the talent. Is that another excuse, or how do you see that?
Talent certainly helps, but I'm telling you, it doesn't matter whether it's golf, it doesn't matter whether it's kickboxing, it doesn't matter whether it's chess, anything else. 95% of it's hard work. There is no talent without hard work. You can't realize talent without hard work. Because even if you're going to argue that I'm more talented than someone else, that's fine. But we have to have both done the same hard work to realize that. If I've done no hard work and this guy's trained for 10 years,
fantastic
then that's talent. You know? So talent is a slight edge after the use of hard work. So people say this to me a lot. Like, people go, "Oh, Tate, you have money because you're lucky. You're a fighter." I'm like, lucky? I'm a fighter. That's an easy job. You think I'm lucky I'm a fighter? You think getting up and running and training and breaking bones and literally risking my life and losing 10 kilos in a week and all this bullshit, you think is easy? Like, people don't, like, connect. Like, "Oh, yeah, but you're talented." I say, how would I know I'm talented unless I fucking trained for all these years? You don't know these things. So, absolutely. I think the difference between those who are truly successful in something and those who aren't, a lot of it's down to just the basics of having your life in order. Like, I know one of my biggest assets is my brother. I'm very lucky to have my brother. Me and my brother are closer even than twin brothers are. We work together, we live together, we train together, we share a bank account, we'll never live apart. Like, and I was always lucky to have someone like that, because I always had that masculine energy around me to keep me focused on the right things. Like, if I split up with a girlfriend or something, nothing could distract me from my mission. You know, me and my bro, we were always getting stuff done. So I was lucky. But in general, a lot of it's down to just who you surround yourself with, how you view your life and your priorities and your relationships and stuff. You know, the number one thing I've seen from a lot of fighters who fall off is just shitty girlfriends, man. I've seen some amazingly talented dudes just lose careers because their girlfriend's an idiot, and she's giving him stress, and he's trying to keep the relationship working, and da-da-da. This is sometimes I say things about girls and women and stuff and things on Twitter, but I've seen it. I've seen probably the number one thing I'd say that ruins fight careers, especially, can be a toxic relationship, because the stress you're under, you're in a very masculine environment. It's very testosterone fueled. Then you're under huge stress for your upcoming fight, and then your girlfriend wants attention too, and it can all just spiral down into nothing. So there's a lot of little things, but just me personally, I always had my house in order. I always had my priorities in check. You know, I always just decided, you know, if I'm going to fight, it's going to be the number one thing I do. I'm never going to have anything else that equals this in regards to importance, because it's my life, it's my health, it's my safety, it's everything. So I was just good at prioritizing, I guess. And it's the same with everything. If you prioritize something, you're going to do well at it. It doesn't matter what it is. If your number one priority in the world is scuba diving, you're going to do a lot of scuba diving, you know? But if it's priority number 7 or 8, you ain't going to get much done. So it really is just down to just prioritizing. And I think a lot of people, in fact, I'm going to say this now. What a lot of people want, they don't want what they think they want. They want the benefits of what they say they want. So I've realized, like, people come to me and go, "I'd love to be a fighter." And I say, "No, you wouldn't." They go, "Yeah, I would. I'd love to be able to fight." And I say, "Well, that's not true, because you don't fight. So it's not true." And they go, oh yeah, but I'd be able to do X, Y, Z, and I'd feel more confident. I say, yeah, but you don't fight. So what you want is all the benefits without any of the hard work. And what's crazy about that is there's not a single skill in the world where I wouldn't take the benefits without the hard work. If someone could come along like the Matrix and plug my brain in and say, do you want to know how to be a fucking freestyle ice skater? I'll be like, yeah, sure. Click the button. Yeah, I can ice skate now. But I don't want it enough to go and learn it. Do you know where I'm coming from? And this is how people are. People, I want the benefit. They think of all the benefits they want, but they don't want any of the work and everything else that goes into the benefits, which is a garbage mindset. Because if that's the case, I want all the benefits of everything. I wish I could play basketball and all these other fucking stupid things I'm not going to do. If you could just download it, it doesn't mean anything. If it's easy, if it's easy, everyone can do it. The only reason they have value is because they're difficult to attain. It's the only reason they have any value, and people don't want to do that connection. Like, oh, I wish I could fight. It's like, well, if you want to be able to fight without ever training, that means everyone can fight. So then who gives a shit? It doesn't mean anything anymore. You know, like the difficulty is what gives the value to the skill. And people are so shunned from the difficulty. They're so like shying away from the difficulty, but they still want the skill, and they don't understand that the skill won't have a value if it's any other way. Am I making sense, or am I rambling?
No, you're totally making sense. I think it's a great point. I think you're really putting the idea of talent into perspective. That it's only developed by the hard work, and you know, maybe if you're talking about you know, I don't know what, if you're going for an Olympic gold medal and everybody's trained equally, if you're in the top 0.1% of the elite, yeah. You know, yeah, you can say, well, yeah, maybe that guy's got an edge because he was born with it. But anything else, you know, you're talking about and even at that level, they did the 99.9% hard work to get to that point. So I think that's a great point, and I think that you know, people. You know, I haven't really thought of it in those terms. You know, but I think you're right. You know, you've got to just you know, you got to do the hard work to develop the talent. I think that's
you got to grind out for a long time to find out if you're talented. You know, you got to do a good 10 years of hard work before you can even look back and think, am I talented or not? You got to do a whole bunch of work first. You know, and right. people don't want the work, and the number one thing, man, is for me personally, I see a lot of people on Twitter, a lot of people message me and they say all these things they want, and they don't understand that it's basic economics. Gold is valuable because it's hard to attain. Like having a nice body is valuable because it's hard to have a nice body. If you could have a nice body at the click of a hat, then no one would give a shit. So all these people are like, I want this. If they don't want to work for it, it's like, well, you're trying to defy the law of capitalism and economics, along with being lazy. Like, that's just not going to happen. All the things you want only have a value because they're hard to get. And that's not going to change. The second they become easy, in the future, when they invent a pill that gives us all six packs, no one's going to give a fuck if you have a six pack. How it is.
Totally. I just total agreement there. Yes, everything valuable is valuable because it's scarce, because it's hard to get. Otherwise, it wouldn't be valuable. I mean, this is what you know. People who try to make excuses for the way they are, like saying basically along the lines of, oh, this way that I am or the way people are is just as good as the other thing. You know, it's totally illogical because it isn't just as good. The things that are more common are less valuable, and the things that are more valuable take hard work, or like you say, gold. That perfect example. It's valuable because it's scarce. And
this is the Western world, but this is the Western world. We're all the same. It's all the same. I don't know about in America, but where I lived in England, they're trying to convince people that being fat isn't unhealthy. Now, like, you can be fat and healthy. You cannot be morbidly obese and as healthy as someone who's not morbidly obese. I don't give a shit what you say or what bullshit science you want to pull out. That's not possible. Let's run 100 meters and let's see. If you want to pull a little bit of that theory to the test, let's go do it. You know, like, but they just don't, everyone's the same. Everyone has this because people. Got completely upset. Everything must be fair, and if people aren't the same, life's not fair, and that's bullshit. People being the same and things being fair are actually completely different. Two people can attempt the same thing fairly, and one can fail and one could succeed. But if someone succeeds, they look at them and go, well, that's not fair. That's not fair. And they're trying to drag him down again. It's just really, it's a crazy mindset. And the most dangerous thing about it is it only exists in the West. If you go to China, where they're building all our stuff, and they have all these huge factories and stuff, you think you can walk around there and say, I'm depressed? You can walk around there and say, oh, well, that's not fair. No one gives a shit. It's sink or swim. That's how it is. So you better learn to swim, you know? And there's people out there who are surviving on, even in Romania where I live, the average wage is about $500 a month. And the prices really aren't too different to America. Like the price of a can of Coke or a price of a meal is not too different. And people are fucking surviving, man. And they're surviving. They got houses, they got cars, they're eating good, they're in good shape, they're going to the gym, their nails are done. I'm like, how the fuck? Because they're not waiting for anyone to come save them. They're not waiting for a politician to give them a tax break. They're not waiting for a welfare check. They're not blaming the Republicans or the Democrats. They're just like, it's down to me. Now this is what I got. So you gotta make it go, you gotta make it do, you know? And it really is crazy. This whole mindset is strange. This fair mindset is completely odd. An analogy I like to use when I had my old Twitter and I was getting constantly attacked because I was verified. Once you're verified on Twitter, it becomes a completely different place because you can select to only see interactions from other verified people. So all the verified people are constantly fucking arguing with each other. All the nobody blue checks who no one's heard of are constantly fucking bickering. So as soon as I got verified, I started getting all these assaults from these weird like feminists and these fucking weird people. And like I made a point is that, have you ever played the video game The Sims? You ever played that video game?
I have never played it, no.
It's a video game where you build a little person and you make him move around, whatever. And you choose the little person's attributes at the beginning of the game. And I'm saying if life was the same as this video game, if you could choose your attributes at the beginning, nobody would choose to be fat, weak, lack confidence. No one would choose any of these things. All the things everyone is saying are okay now. It's normal. It's fine. It's okay. If you had the choice, you would all choose to be big, tall, strong, confident individuals. None of you would choose the life you're currently living. And what they're trying to do is, instead of rectify the things they're not happy with, rectify their problems with themselves, they want to put a spin on it and convince the world that it's good. It's good to be obese. It's good to be depressed. It's good to lack confidence. It's good to be this. It's normal. It's normal. There's something wrong with you, Andrew, because you're toxically masculine. You have the problem, you know. And they start pointing the finger the other way. And if people were given a choice from the offset, no one would choose to live. No one would choose to be fat, unhappy, lonely, and depressed. No one would tick those boxes. So when these people are trying to put a spin on it and convince the world that it's normal, I don't buy it for a second. I refuse to buy it, and I just don't buy it. And this is probably why I piss so many people off. Because I won't even entertain their bullshit for half a second. They're like, oh yeah, but I don't care. No, but you haven't heard me. Don't want to hear because I don't give a shit. Don't care. I can't stand it. But yeah, pervasive. The word you use, man, perfect word, pervasive.
Yeah, right. So I was thinking about this idea of some people have, what the psychologists would call an internal locus of control versus an external locus. So an internal locus, I mean, I could hardly think of a better example, but you believe that, everything depends on yourself. Nobody's coming to save you. It's like the people you're talking about in Romania that make $500 a month, but they're getting by because they know nobody's coming to save them. It's all up to them. And versus the external locus of control, which is all these conditions around me are affecting how I am and what I'm able to do and so on. I think in the Western world, this has become more again, that word pervasive, that it's a shift to the external locus of control. And so
absolutely, crazy. You know what I find most crazy? When you speak of control, one of the very few things you have control over in this world, because we can't control very much. Like even we can do our best to maintain healthy, but you can still be unlucky and have a brain hemorrhage. You can still get hit by a car. You can't even control your personal safety. You can't control the weather. You can't control if your company you work for is going to shut down. You can't control if the government's going to change. One of the only things you actually have control over is your state of mind. That's one of the few things you can affect directly in real time. You can wake up pissed off and sad, and you can brush your teeth, and you can make a coffee, and you go, you know what? Fuck it, I'm not sad. I'm the fucking man. And you can bang. You can do that. And people go, no, you can't. I say, yes, you can. That's one of the only things in the world you have control over. You don't have control over anything else. And that's where life starts from. It starts from in your head. Every movement you do with your body starts in your head. The weights we lift starts here. We get up and we prepare ourselves to do it. It all starts in your mind. That's the only thing you actually have control over. And if you refuse to control that, if you refuse to control the only thing you can control, and then you want to complain that life's kicking your ass, I'm sitting there thinking, well, what the fuck did you think was going to happen? You know, you think there's other people out there in the world who wake up and go, you know what, I want to make Andrew's life better. No one wakes up giving a shit about my life but me. No one wakes up and goes, you know what, I really want to get Andrew a hot girlfriend in a Ferrari. I'm going to go out my way and no one's going to do that. So if you're, like you're saying about these external control mechanisms, people are like, oh, well, I need this to do this, or I'm hoping this happens for this. People are praying for all this shit. No one is coming to save you. There is no superhero to your life. It's absolutely down to you and your state of mind. The only things you can affect. I'm a massive Trump fan. I'm a huge Trump fan. But I also understand that under Trump, who I believe is the greatest politician ever, but my life hasn't really that dramatically, my life hasn't changed. I mean, I enjoy watching him piss everyone off. I'm happy there because I think he deserves to be there. I respect him. But my life day to day hasn't changed. Like, that's the biggest political upset you could possibly hope for. And that's the most masculine politician we've ever had. And still my life hasn't changed. So if you think anything else is going to change your life externally, you think some other president's going to change your life, or some other change from some other shit, down to you, absolutely. And the only thing you can control is your own mindset. This is why I don't understand when people say I lack motivation. So you lack motivation to do what? To live a life worth living? You're that unmotivated? You'd rather have a shit life? Like, you'd rather, I just don't understand it. I'm like, you're waiting for someone to come along and drag you to the gym every day for the rest of your life. That's what you want. You want to message me on Twitter and me convince you to go and fix your life. That's not my job. And that's no one else's. Unless you're going to start paying me money, then I'll think about it. But otherwise, unless there's some finance involved, the only person who's going to give you the motivation you keep looking for is yourself. And once again, down to absolving responsibility, getting rid of excuses, looking in the mirror and just taking responsibility for your life and your actions. But people don't want to do it. They don't want to do it. Even like crime. You watch crime and criminals and stuff like, oh yeah, I shot him in the face 10 times, but I'm from the hood. Like that's an acceptable excuse. Like you shot him in the head 10. Like, what the fuck? What do you mean you're from the hood? Who cares where you're from? You knew what you were doing. You know? Once again, people got their excuse card ready, and that's the Western world, man. It's crazy.
Right. I think that well, for me, following people like yourself and you know, some others on Twitter has been tremendous for me, in that you know, people talking like you, as far as you got to motivate yourself, you got to do it yourself, nobody's coming to save you, and so on. For most people, this kind of other attitude that we've been talking about, you know, it's everywhere, and they don't. You know, it's just so easy to fall into what everyone else is doing, and they don't have people like yourself telling them this, that they you know, it's almost crazy, but it's almost like people don't even realize that they can do this. They need a, you know, with kick in the rear, you know, to understand that it's all to them. If they want to change, they've got to do it themselves.
Absolutely. Like I'm 31, so I haven't got any kids yet, but in the next 3 or 4 years I'll have kids. And let me tell you something. They ain't gonna come to me with no excuses about nothing. And it's down to how you're raised. These people are raised with an atmosphere of, if I come up with a good enough excuse, then I don't have to do it. Or if I come up with a good enough excuse, it's okay, I haven't achieved this. That's the bullshit that needs to go. It's the people, I don't listen to excuses and people call me an asshole. I see myself as the absolute opposite. I'm a philanthropist. When you come at me with your excuse and I tell you to fuck yourself, I'm being a nice guy. You may not notice it. You may not see it, but I'm promising you I'm being nicer to you than if I were to sit there and go, oh, yeah, okay, yeah, I understand. Nah, fuck that bullshit. Get to fucking work. That's how it is, you know? So completely, man. It's down to the mechanisms. It's also like a lot of it's down to the people you hang around with, man. If you hang around with a bunch of winners, none of them are making excuses. and you hang in a group where you know you can't pull out the excuse card because no one's interested, and then you're going to change your mindset. You look at these people who are making excuses and are depressed and stuff. One guy was depressed, and he was sending me links he put in a forum, and the forum was a depressed forum. I was like, so what? You hate your life and you're depressed, and you sit there all day talking to other people who hate their lives. Where's this going to go? Like, where do you, like, you don't want to talk to me because you think I'm an asshole. Well, I'm happy, and I'm moderately successful, so maybe you should want to talk to me. Maybe I'm the guy you should be trying to talk to. Maybe you should be listening to me, not the other people who hate themselves. And what the fuck are you listening to what they say for? You know, so people are just lost, and sometimes the only way to be shown the path is just to be told to fuck off. Sink or swim. I love the sink or swim analogy, man. Sometimes that's how life works. Do it or don't do it. That's it. Or don't do it. My coach said that to me for one fight. Talking about my ankle, I was talking about earlier. I was saying, I can't run. He goes, you gonna fight or not? I was like, yeah. He goes, then fucking run. That was the conversation. But there wasn't no, well, let's go to the doctor. It was like, are you gonna fight? Yeah, then run. That's it. There's no between. And that's people are trying to live in this gray area. You got to get rid of the gray areas. It's do or don't. So that's how I believe.
Well, that's awesome. I think we're going to wrap it up here now, Andrew. I wonder. So I want to ask you just one or two more things. So what's in your future now? What do you have plans for?
I'm considering a comeback to fighting. I officially retired, but I might be coming back next year and do 5 or 6 more fights. So we're going to see what happens with that, and then so I might be coming back to fighting. I want to have kids when I'm about 33, 34. So I've got a couple more years of running around being a playboy and acting silly. That's it, man. I sit on Twitter sometimes, piss the world off, and I travel. You know, I do a bit of work and stuff. But all in all, I'm kind of enjoying. I had such a rigid framework to my life when I was fighting for so many years. I'm kind of enjoying now being a bit of a vagabond and just living in hotels and sleeping in and dumb shit. Because for 10 years of my life, I always had something hanging over my head. I always had the pressure of a fight in my mind. And now that's gone. So I'm kind of enjoying it, but I'm also kind of missing the pressure. So maybe I'll go back and we'll see. I'm in one of those kind of limbo periods. But all in all, man, I'm just waking up each day. If I wake up and both my arms move and both my legs move, that puts me in a good mood. I've seen too much fucked up shit. There's too many people in the world now who their houses are getting bombed somewhere in some country no one cares about. And, you know, if you wake up and the people you love are still alive and your arms and legs are still moving, that's enough reason to smile, have some breakfast, and just enjoy life. And that's how I look at it, man. I just try and stay super positive and just be a happy guy and piss everyone off on Twitter. And that's about it.
Man, that's a perfect lesson there to wrap up with. You know, thanks so much for coming on, Andrew. Really great talking to you. I think your message is fantastic. No excuses. It's all within you. It's no one's coming to save you. It's under your control, and you've totally showed that's the case. You've made yourself into a world champion and the man you are, and it's awesome.
Thanks so
much. Okay. We'll talk to you later. I'll stop the recording now.